Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I'm Kaz. I'm here with Harvey. And we've taken a couple of weeks off from talking about the current ongoings in IndyCar, but enough has settled. The dust is on the ground, and I think we're ready to talk about the silly season and what the 2026 grid looks like. What do you say, Harvey?
I think that's a great idea. We have had a lot of seats change, quickly. We saw Power right away, and then obviously promoting Malukas into the Penske seat. Those were kind of moves we knew was going to happen. But then the other, a couple of other moves that have happened. And now we have a few seats that are up in the air, which allows for a little speculation, which is always fun.
Ooh, the rumor mill. It means nothing and everything all at the same time. I love it.
That's right.
But let's start with what's confirmed and what we know before we go off on our wild tangents. So we know Will Power has moved from Penske to Andretti. We are very excited about this. I don't think we need to talk too much about it because we already have. But just to summarize, Will Power is going to contribute a lot to Andretti, both in racecraft and also just in general knowledge. And if there's a driver on the grid who I think can switch teams, switch engines, and make a meaningful impact, it's Will Power. So
I agree with you. I think his experience is something that team really needs right now, and it should help them significantly in the championship next year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. Now let's talk about the man who took his seat and what we expect from Malukas.
Malukas had such a phenomenal second half of the season last year. I to be clear, I don't necessarily know that Penske was super respectful of Will Power, but that's not Malukas's fault. And he does deserve that seat. So I'm excited to see what he can do in a premier car. But also, this is where the pressure comes on,
Right.
It's driving for AJ Foyt for him. You're exceeding expectations when you're finishing in the top 10 on a regular basis. If you make the podium, that's amazing. Driving a Penske, he will be expected to be on that podium on a regular basis and quickly.
Assuming the team has their together this year.
Sure. Let's pretend it's normal Penske, not bizarre 2025 Penske, who did look like they were returning to form at the end of the season. So.
No, you would expect their three cars to, at least two of those cars, to be in the top 10, one to be in the top 5, and the third one no lower than 12th or 13th, right? That's, Penske's. So if he doesn't finish 13th or higher, and the team is having a good season, I think that's not a good season for Malukas.
Yeah, he's got a lot to live up to, and he's a guy who looks like he can drive under pressure. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, but it's always, whenever you've got a guy jumping up to the big leagues, proverbially, you always have to wonder, do they really have it? What's this going to look like? So it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's one of those things where driving a car from a team with fewer resources and maximizing it means you're really pushing that car to the edge every single time, and you're doing that. So when you get to a team that gives you that little more, are you able to take that car a little bit further? So we'll see. He certainly has proven himself to be, as you say, worthy of that seat. Now, can he prove that he's worthy of staying in that seat? So
you've got a year, kid. Show us what you can do.
Yeah, I'm sure he has more than a year on his contract, but we'll see how it goes.
Finish sub 13 too often, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. The other experienced driver to move seats this year was Rinus VeeKay, who goes from Dale Coyne back to Juncos Hollinger. And I say back because he drove for them in Indy Next, not in IndyCar. So
see, that's what made it click into place for me. I don't watch a lot of Indy Next. I'd like to watch more, but there's only so many hours in the day to watch racing. I didn't know he had this connection to the team. And I when I saw the announcement, I was like, oh, kind of lateral, interesting decision unless they're paying him a ton more. I don't really see why. But knowing that he has this history with the team, I love that. I took a few steps away, gained some really serious skills, and now I'm going to bring that back and help build the team that got me here.
Yeah, it was interesting. He had a press conference after the announcement was made, and I was on that and was able to ask a couple of questions. And one of the things he said was that he and the team really agree on the things they need to do to take the next step. And when I pushed him on what some of those things were, he was pretty vague about it, which was kind of funny. It's like, tell me what is it? Is it really about, is it a strategic thing? Is there something you guys figured out mechanically or aerodynamically? I really think it's more about him feeling more at home there. And
sure.
So he's got a great team around him, good support. I think Jukos Hollinger did a pretty decent job last year, with Connor Daly in that seat, right?
Yeah.
He did well on ovals, didn't do well on the road courses and street courses that, didn't do that well. So I think VK will bring some strengths there to the team.
Yeah, I always VK was so impressive last year. He had some excellent moments. I really feel strongly that he is a driver on the up. And maybe we as a fandom don't give him as much credit as we give to some of the other drivers in his position, like Malukas. But I think he's a guy to watch. And if he's feeling comfortable, that's going to yield better results. So even if there's nothing improved mechanically, aerodynamically, even strategically, if he's more comfortable, he's going to drive better. So I'm happy for him to make that move.
Yeah,
except that it means no more Connor Daly.
Yeah, I know. And so far, he's not really rumored for any of the open seats available, which is a little surprising, although he's been in the league for a while. And his results have kind of plateaued.
He's been mid-tier and stuck there for a while in terms of finishes.
Right. And is that because he's only had that kind of equipment and never got the opportunity to move up? Or was he just maximizing his talent at that point? And that's where he's going to be. And then the team was looking at it going, we think VK has more upside. I'm assuming that is the calculus that they made. So we'll see what happens. They're making a bet on VK, and we're gonna miss Daly. And like his run at Milwaukee, he was unbelievable and really strong at the other ovals. So.
Yeah, the first oval of the season, I believe, is Arizona.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to be thinking about him that day. I'm really going to miss Connor Daly on the ovals. It's a real shame. He's a guy who I always look for on that track. So hopefully, maybe he can fill a 500 seat for somebody.
Yeah, I think one of those one-off Indy 500 seats, he might be a good person to look at. I mean, Ed Carpenter. Right now, he's scheduled to drive a third car for their team, but maybe Ed says, you know what? Let's put Connor in the car. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see. So that's the other confirmed seat. One more confirmed new driver is a new driver to IndyCar, moving up from Indy Next, the series champion, Dennis Hauger, who drove for Andretti last year and winning this season. He had some very impressive results. I saw a few of the races. I was in Milwaukee when he clinched the championship there. Solid driver in DCR, which looks to be, again, an up-and-coming team. So I think a good seat for a young driver.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I don't watch a ton of Indy Next, but even I have some good Dennis Hauger memories just from last year. I think he's a real positive addition to this grid. He's going to come out strong as a rookie. I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is this means that Dale Coyne is going to have two new drivers next year.
Yeah.
Because of VK leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And, the interesting thing right now is who's rumored to be taking that second seat.
Ah, yes. Let's get into the rumors. And this is a really good one to start with. I am really excited at the notion. And again, we're into rumors here. None of this is real. Maybe we'll look really dumb tomorrow. I'm really excited at the notion of Romain Grosjean making a return to IndyCar. That guy is just compelling.
Yeah, he's a great story. Obviously, his F1 experience and then the fire, that knocked him out of F1. Well, he would, Haas had announced they were going to be changing drivers anyway.
He was leaving teams regardless, but he did end the season early, obviously, after replacing like half the skin on his hands.
With skin from his butt. He's quick to tell everybody.
He had a sense of humor about it. He said, "If you shake my hand, you're shaking my ass," and I appreciate that. So he was knocked out of Formula One there. I would have put so much money on him never getting into a race car again.
Oh yeah, at that point, for sure.
Mm. The fact that somebody is going to be on the grid with that kind of drive to drive is great because he's not doing it for money. He's not doing it for glory. He's doing it because he loves driving. That's the only thing that can get you back into a car after the experience he's had.
Yeah, and he had 3 seasons in cars, both with DCR, Andretti, and JHR. So he's, he hopped around to teams. Again, I don't think he killed it while he was there, but he was solid. Certainly, he was more
consistently solid. There were multiple podium finishes. I believe there was a season where at least early on he was running fairly high in the championship, and he never looked bad. So I feel like Romain's exit from IndyCar is kind of similar to Connor Daly's now. Just like, this guy was good. Everybody knew he was going to deliver on certain weekends. It just didn't work out logistically to keep this guy. So I'm excited to see him come back. I love watching him. I love rooting for him.
Yeah, no, he got pole position and podium at the Indianapolis Grand Prix in 2021. He had top five finishes or several top 5 finishes. I don't know if it was 5, but with Andretti in 22. And in 23, he finished 13th in the championship. Again, that's not shabby at all. Very solid. So bringing him back to IndyCar, the fact that he wants to come back, I think that's great. I think it's a great story. I think it's really good for IndyCar also to bring another Formula One driver into the series and more international eyeballs.
It does provide a little bit of kind of a welcome to a Formula One fan. Every Formula One fan knows Romain Grosjean because of the Fireball. It was just like such a cultural moment in Formula One.
I mean, we were watching that race together, I remember, where you were somewhere and I was somewhere, but we were online together. And I remember saying, I think we just saw someone die.
Yeah, the cutaway and not showing it.
Yeah, and the fact that
it was a very heavy moment.
Yeah, to jump out of that fire. And if people haven't seen the episode of Drive to Survive with that, go watch it. It is brilliant filmmaking. And
not trying to get you into Formula One here. That episode gives me chills. Yeah. My father-in-law is obsessed with it, and he's never watched a race in his life.
Yeah, I've watched that episode a couple of times. I actually went and watched that episode after seeing that stupid F1 movie, just so I could cleanse myself of its inanity.
Okay. Side note, just because you brought it up, my husband Nick had me watch that movie with him just yesterday, and I hated it. I thought it was so dumb. I don't ever want to watch Brad Pitt do anything, first and foremost, but especially not pretty. Sonny Hayes, a Formula One driver, would never.
Yeah.
You named him wrong from the get-go. Everything was wrong. Everything was
yeah,
wrong.
there was a lot wrong with that movie. We should do an episode on racing
really
movies.
That would be really
because
fun.
there were some really bad IndyCar movies made too, and we'll go watch those and talk about them. But we'll do an episode on that. But so let's talk about these other seats. So hopefully we'll see Grosjean in the DCR car.
Yeah, I support that big time.
The other F1 to Indy rumor.
Oh yeah,
because he tested last week at the Indy Road Course is Michael Schumacher and
Mick Schumacher.
Sorry, Michael. I've got
Mick. You know, it's first of all the names are close. Second of all, if you're saying Schumacher, it's hard not to say Michael first,
right? Because especially since I saw
think about it.
Michael run in the inaugural F1 Grand Prix at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so many years ago, I was there for that. So seeing Mick handle that car, handle it well. He had a very competitive time, especially considering, they told him beforehand, don't try to set any lap records. Just go out and get comfortable in the car.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's another really exciting theoretical move. If for nothing else, just as a new way to get fans into IndyCar, everybody knows the name Schumacher. If you've watched a single race, you know the name Schumacher. So there's a little gravitas with having somebody with that kind of name on the grid, even if they're not a great driver. There's just still kind of, those names mean something to you. Andretti means something to you,
right? And he had a great Formula 2 career.
He
didn't translate to Formula One. Part of that is, he was driving Haas at their low point, right?
Yeah, I don't really think we've talked about the differences between Indy and Formula One. I don't think that you can look at a driver from a bottom tier Formula One team and really know anything about them, to be honest with you. Maybe Logan Sargent. Sorry, Logan. I wanted so much more for you.
Yeah. But you're right. And so that'll be interesting to see if RLL pulls the plug on DeFrancesco and puts Schumacher in that seat. I would love to see it. If
I'm RLL, I do it just for the money. I'm sorry. Schumacher's going to bring in way more sponsorship than DeFrancesco is, and Devlin was fine last year.
Right.
But he wasn't amazing. He didn't do anything that made me go like, "Ooh, that guy." And there were other RLL drivers that had great moments. So it's not just RLL here.
Yeah, I mean, Louis Foster had the pole at Road America, right? And Graham Rahal had a couple of nice moments during this season. And then you look at other drivers in the series with Devlin's experience, look at Callum Ilott, look at Nolan Siegel. Those guys had moments where you went, oh, here
I gotta watch them.
Yeah. And I never got that feeling from DeFrancesco.
I think the thing I commented liking the most about DeFrancesco was his livery. So that's not, I don't have a problem with him. I don't want him off the grid necessarily.
If he ends up being in that seat, great. Take a step up. Show us
prove me wrong.
Yeah, you're there. So that's the other rumored that's a rumored seat. And then the final seat that's still open at AJ Foyt, and that's rumored to go to Kyle Collette, who finished second in Indy Next, and would be another good rookie addition to a team that needs a second driver to complement Ferrucci, right? Santino's going to be the lead driver for Foyt next year, right?
God, think
Which
about
is
that.
Crazy to think about. But, so you want someone in there who, I think you want someone in that second seat who is going to be poised and, steady. And I think Collette showed a lot this past year with his, just consistency And that's what you're going to want to see in that second seat. So
Right.
hopefully he'll get a shot at that.
Yeah, first of all, I definitely don't want there to just be one rookie on the grid. I love Rookie of the Year. I love watching them progress throughout the season, using the other one as a metric for how they're doing. I think that that's a really great way to evaluate a rookie. So I don't want there to only be one. I don't know Cal Colette. But hearing you say he has a lot of consistency is interesting, especially with him as a teammate to Santino, because that is something I'm excited to see what Santino is like as kind of a older teammate mentor. I'm excited at what he might teach the kids, because I think he does bring a sense of
well, and
lack of fear to the table.
The other thing,
but also he can learn about consistency from somebody like Cal Colette, because that's something he needs.
When I talk about consistency, this is what I mean. Cal Colette started 14 races. He finished top 5 12 times.
Oh, whoo.
He won 3 times. Now, Hauger started 14 races, finished top 5 12 times as well, and won 6 races. So that's why those guys are moving up, right?
Yeah.
Is because they consistently finished high. They proved they could make the move when it counted. Hauger was just better. He had 7 poles to Colette's 3 poles. But if I'm looking for someone to bring into my team who has the potential to deliver consistent results and will be affordable, great. And, and this is a thing too, where, one of the bigger IndyCar teams may be, saying to AJ Foyt, Penske may be saying, hey, we want that guy in that seat so we can see how he develops because of, their partnership.
AJ Foyt is a good seat to land in for a rookie. It's a strong car. It's a consistent vehicle. They typically have really solid strategic work behind the scenes. AJ Foyt's kind of a seat you want to wind up in, and it comes with a little bit of prestige. And I think it typically also drivers last there for either they flame out or they stay there for a while until they move to Penske. Yeah. So if I'm a rookie, if I just finished a fantastic Indy next season, I'm really thrilled to land that seat.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's I would like to see that happen. It may not, all these seats, the AJ Foyt seat, the DCR seat, the Rahal Letterman seat, those are up in the air. Well, Rahal Letterman less so, because if they don't bring Schumacher, then DeFrancesco will stay there.
We know it's one or the other. Right. It's not a completely open question.
The other question is, will there be 2 more seats coming back to Indy next year? So let's talk about that for a bit.
Yeah, what's up with Prema, man? And before we even really get into what's up with Prema, I do think it's super interesting if we get confirmation before the other seats are filled that Prema would not come back, what happens for Callum Ilott and Robert Schwartzman.
Yeah, I mean, they're under contract to Prema. So if they come back, they're going to be in those seats. And Schwartzman has said, I love driving IndyCar. People, were questioning whether he wanted to come back or not. And he made a very clear statement that says, I want to be in this car. And, I'm
enjoying being here.
He's ready to come back. So I'm really interested to see what happens. Now, there were rumors that maybe someone, was going to merge with Prema. They're looking for financing. They need cash, right? Yeah. Just that it's funny because Prema is a huge racing corporation globally with a small U.S. presence. And
they are like the name in Formula 2, Formula 3. Right. Charles Leclerc drove for them. They're well known.
And so they wanted to raise their profile in the U.S., and what better place to do it than come into IndyCar? And that's great, but they're a business. And so they need cash and partners to do that. And, considering the success they had, I would think that they should have some success attracting a sponsor. I know that IndyCar wants them to succeed because it doesn't look good for them if someone comes into the series one year and is out the next, especially an established racing company like Prema, because
if Prema can't even make money here, why would I
then
bother?
why would someone with no, without any deep racing experience want to get involved in the sport? And having a couple more teams lined up wanting to come in would be a good thing for the sport.
Yeah.
So
more drivers on the grid, please.
So I'm assuming we'll hear something in the next couple of weeks about Prema. My guess is that working, with their partners and sponsors and working with IndyCar, something will happen.
I'm cautiously optimistic just because we very recently had a press conference or a statement from Doug Boles, IndyCar president, wherein he said, look, cool it a little bit. I mean, he didn't come out and say this is ridiculous and Prema's definitely coming back. The fact that he acknowledged that Prema is working to make a return happen is an acknowledgement that they're looking for money, that they're not 100% settled yet. But I think the fact that they chose to release this statement a good 2-3 weeks after these rumors started suggests that, yes, maybe things were a little up in the air, but we're zeroing in on it at this point. I don't think that they would have given such an optimistic statement now if they hadn't felt they'd made some moves toward a return for Prema.
Right.
And then from my perspective as a fan, I just really like after the season they had, what a cool rookie season for a team. First of all, you've got Schwartzman on pole at the Indy 500. That in and of itself is a successful season for a rookie team.
Right.
And then you had Isla just impressing race after race, especially toward the end of the season. I kept saying, I need to pay more attention to Callum Isla, consistently.
I mean,
good 3-4 races in a row.
Yeah. Schwartzman battling for Rookie of the Year, right? So, this was a successful season for Prema. And I'd
hate to see him go.
Yeah. I would like to see them come back and see if they can at least equal that or maybe even improve upon it this year.
Yeah, I want to see how they can grow because it's such a strong starting position. And sure, they could have a very similar season, but if they do experience even a small amount of growth, that's still going to be an incredible sophomore season. And I really want to see it.
Well, let's hope.
Don't cancel my shows, guys.
Yeah, let's hope that they're back. Let's hope they can find that sugar daddy who wants their name on their car.
Honestly, billionaires, come on.
Yeah, you're spending money on rockets. You can spend that on a season of IndyCar and get millions of people to watch and give us great joy. So.
Maybe Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift will buy it.
There you go.
Even I don't need that. And I'm currently wearing a Taylor Swift cardigan.
There you go. Okay. So now I have an oddball question for you. A little bit out of the blue. There are 2 seats open, right? We talked about the rumors. This is not rumors. If you could see any driver in the world take one of those 2 seats, who would it be?
Okay. Well, as an immediate reaction, I have 2 drivers in mind, and they're both Formula One drivers. Sorry. It's the main 2 series I watch are Formula One and IndyCar.
Right.
I have long said that, and while I know this will absolutely never happen, that's the premise of this question. I have long said that I would really love to see Max Verstappen and Alex Palou fight in equal machinery. Okay. I'm so curious to see what that would look like. Oh, man. We would get some very cool action. I know that Max is obviously very happy and settled in Formula One, has absolutely no reason to leave. He has expressed that he has zero interest in driving.
That's not the point of this question.
It's never going to happen. But I think that would just be so cool. A full season of two drivers who I consider to be, I consider Max Verstappen to maybe be the greatest race car driver of all time. And I'm not alone in that opinion. Pillow was so impressive last year. I really think that would be a season to remember. And then the second driver who I would like to see actually make an IndyCar return is I would love to see Fernando Alonso do a full season of IndyCar.
Oh.
He's both the way he drives and also just his personality as a driver to watch and follow are so fun. And I think he would bring a lot of life to IndyCar. He's just great. It would be great to see him do a full season.
Sure.
But again, a guy who will never drive an oval again. So
yeah, he did it once. He's done.
He said, "Oh God."
I think it scared the daylights out of him. But good for him for coming and giving it a go.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for me, there are a couple that I'd look at. Mm-hmm. One, I would love to see a NASCAR driver make the move, and this is almost more from a audience standpoint as opposed to a competitive standpoint. I mean, there are, I don't watch a ton of NASCAR, but I know, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, those guys, Joey Logano, they're good aggressive drivers and they'd be interesting in the series. But if they could bring some NASCAR eyeballs to IndyCar, I think a lot of those NASCAR fans would go, hey, wait, this is pretty cool too. And watch more IndyCar. So I think that. And then the other person I'd love to see race in the United States because he's such a great personality, great driver, and someone that Americans love.
Oh, I know who you're going to say.
Danny Ricciardo.
I knew it. Absolutely.
Come on to the U.S., Danny Rick. I got a seat for you.
He would be fantastic as a personality for sure. And he's a great driver. So no reason to think he wouldn't be able to pick it up and do. I mean, the last thing he did in Formula One was snatch a fastest lap. Yeah. Almost as a prank more than anything.
A little swan song to the series. Yeah, he hasn't raced in a couple of years now, or whatever. But he could get in a car and he could compete with anybody. And again, he'd bring Danny Ricciardo was bigger than F1, right? In terms of his person, not bigger than the sport, but his audience was beyond the racing, right?
He is more like Lewis Hamilton in that way.
Yeah.
In the way that his legend is not about what he does on the track entirely. I mean, that's a part of it, to be sure. But people know Danny Rick from who he is.
Right.
That absolutely ludicrous laugh. I would love to see him.
Yeah. Love to see him do a shoey at Indy. So
he's just a great guy. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
No, that would be great. But okay. So that's a good way to end the silly season discussion with one of the
silliest possible discussions.
So I think if things go the way they're rumored to go right now, we're in for a treat with some of the new drivers. I think some of the old drivers in new seats is going to be really interesting to watch. And so I can't wait for the 2026 IndyCar season to get going here. We, how
many days out are we?
We are 128 days, 8 hours and 43 minutes away from the start of the IndyCar season next year.
Okay.
So
that's manageable.
We got about 3 months. So,
and I think you're right. If the rumors shake out the way we're expecting them to, in particular, if Schumacher comes in for DeFrancesco, the other ones I think seem a little bit more settled. If everything turns out the way we expect it to, I can't see this season being anything less exciting than this last one. And this last season was thrilling.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're in for a lot of good stuff happening here. So let's call that an end to this episode of Rides and Drives Team Radio. We will be back next week with more commentary, hopefully some news on some seats solidifying. But we'll be back with you next week. And until then, let's keep the shiny side up, kids, and stay safe out there. For Rides and Drives Team Radio, I'm Harvey.
And I'm Kaz. Drive safe, everybody.